Hi, welcome back to Golf FM. This week it's the test to end all tests. It's the big one. It's Taylormade versus Callaway, and these are the two most important clubs for these companies in a way. These are the game improvement clubs. So we've got QI10 and we've got AI Smoke. So I'm going to put them through their paces and see how they perform against each other. It's a really good test because they're both 28 degrees, 7 irons, so they're both the same. So let's have a look. I also want to get my excuses in early. I've got a cold today just to prove it. So that's Lucozade original, and that only gets taken when you've got a cold. I'm sorry if you haven't got this in the States. I feel sorry for you, or other parts of the world. Maybe you can fly it over if you've got a cold, but that's your only chance over here. So any bad shots, obviously that's what it's down to. I've got a bit of cold. In terms of the looks of the club, the QI10 looks bigger, chunkier, fatter, and the AI Smoke looks thinner, slimmer, sleeker than the QI10s. It'll be interesting to see if the AI Smoke can keep up with the QI10 in terms of forgiveness when it's not quite as big and chunky. But first looks at the back, I would say it's a win for the AI Smoke. But again, is that a wasted comment? Because everybody likes what they like, and you might like the QI10 better than the AI Smoke. I just think the QI10 doesn't look quite as good as the Stealth did last year. I thought the Stealth almost bridged the gap between players' type irons and game improvement. You almost couldn't tell what it was when you looked at the back of it. Whereas this looks now again like game improvement to me. But still a nice game improvement. Don't get me wrong, I think it looks good, but it just looks game improvement to me. Whereas AI Smoke, that's a bit more like the Stealth was last year, where you're not totally sure what category it is on first look. In terms of the look from the top, well, the AI Smoke's got it for me because it's a thinner top line and I like that. It's similar in terms of the offset. I don't think there's a lot of difference. You've got a little bit more of a polished look. With AI Smoke, it's a smaller looking head, definitely smaller. It's a big old head on the QI10, but again, that's a forgiving look. That looks really nice if you're in the market for something that looks like it's going to help you. So yeah, both look good, but for me, the AI Smoke takes it on looks. So I think I'll hit the QI10 first. Quite a lot of technology in this. Probably too much to go into at this stage. Flighted technology I seem to take from a lot of the info that I read, and that is the same sort of technology they put in the P790, where they've set the irons, the weighting inside the irons to help you throughout the set. So if you need longer irons to go up in the air a bit more, then they do that, and conversely the shorter irons, slightly flatter flight. There's other bits and pieces in there as well, and they're talking about how for the first time they've got longer irons which actually are anti-slice, and that for years they've actually been building irons with a bit of a slice tendency in the longer ones, just because inherently by the way they were made, and I'm assuming goes for Taylormade as well as everybody else, but this is the first set that doesn't do that. And it's a little bit complicated in terms of how they do that. It's to do with the weighting and the shape of the face inside on the longer irons. You can rest easy that they're looking after you when it comes to the long irons. The other thing they've done is try to make this feel softer, which is always the bugbear of a non-forged higher handicaps club, is they don't always sound that brilliant. So we'll see how it sounds. Should be all right now. That was a toe strike. Toe strike went 176 in the air and 191 total. Oh, I hit that one well. Felt nice actually, that. Have to say. Didn't feel shouty and loud and mashy like they quite often do. And that went 179 in the air and 192 with 5,000 spin. It's quite low launch, but then it is 28 degrees. That was low on the face. So I've had one of each so far. Toe, good, thin. 183, spin was 5,000, so that is extremely forgiving. Though I did not expect to see that after I know sometimes when you hit it thin it does go quite far, but I didn't expect to see the spin still sort of maintain at that sort of level, so that's quite encouraging. I wish I was allowed to use these sort of clubs. Oh, nice shot again. Nice and straight, straight-ish. Nice and straight-ish. 181 in the air, 194, 5,400 spin. decent strike. I think I lost it right a bit. Let's come it back a bit. Do feel very forgiving, I have to say. 181 in the air, 195, 5,000 odd spin again. The figures are coming out quite well and consistent, even though I don't feel as though I'm hitting it the same each time. That's got to be right. No, wow, that's impressive. 184, 198, spin dropped a wee bit there, 4.7, but still a long way. That was a heavy one. Not had one of those yet. A little bit left. Wow. I mean, the spin came down, so it ended up 186, 202. One flipping heck. So powerful. Wee bit heavy. 175, 192, so still pretty good. A little bit left, but a good strike. 187, 202. Very low spin again. But I must have closed the face a bit to get it over there, so de-lofted it. I think that was alright. Yeah, nice and straight. Really straight, that's good. Good on to finish. 188, 203. Right, I'll hit the AI Smoke now. We'll do the comparison at the end and see how they measure up. But that felt good. Not a massive fan of the looks of it because it just looks a bit bigger than I would want. But it's not for me. So, you know, it's for higher handicappers. So there's no point me saying I don't really like the look of it because it's not for me. So AI Smoke just looks altogether better to me. Almost looks like a different category of iron. Not the best strike I've ever hit. Yeah, I did think it was right. On 179, 195, 4.5 spin. Same loft, so shouldn't be too different. Felt like a decent strike. I think they feel actually quite as soft as the QI did. I should say a little bit about the technology in this. As far as I can make out, it's a lot to do with the AI face, which is, when you look at the face behind this, it's all lumps and bumps. It's a bit like they do with the driver, where the computers looked at millions of shots from not pros, from just average golfers, and made the face in such a way that you've got more thickness where you hit. Well, not so much just more thickness, they've got the humps and bumps where they help the average golfer most. The other thing is the face is not forged on this. Last year the Paradigm was forged and it made it really expensive being forged. It made it softer feeling, but it made it very expensive. They've gone back to a cast club here, and actually the prices of these two clubs are quite interesting. So 859 for the QI for 5 to pitch a wedge, and 809 for the corresponding set of AI Smoke. So a little bit cheaper from the Callaway and a big jump down from where they were with Paradigm last year, which I think was holding them back a bit. So if this can continue to feel okay, not too hard, then Callaway could be the one. But let's see, haven't finished yet. Didn't hit it as well. It feels a little bit louder so far than the QI, so not as soft. So 182, 197, still comparable sort of figures. That was a nicer strike, I think. Oh, a little bit out to the right again. 185, 199, 5,100 spin. That felt a bit better. I don't think it feels as soft as the QI, I have to say. That was a wee bit heavy. Desperately trying not to hit it so far right. Like 175, 192, 4,000 spin. I think I had one or two like that in with the QI, so we'll leave it. That was a nice strike. Surely that's fairly straight. Yeah, that felt good. So that was one out the middle, which again always feels nice. 186, 200, 5,100 spin. But that's starting to feel a bit better. So now there's not such a gap in the feel. When I wasn't hitting them as well, the feel was a little bit louder and a bit harsher maybe than the QI. But when you get them out the middle, there's not that much of a difference. That's a bit thin again. Doesn't feel quite as friendly maybe when you don't hit it. 179, 193. It's okay, but I don't know whether it was a bad batch or what I'm doing, but let's try and get a couple more straight. Oh, that was a nice strike. See, that felt good. That was a nice sound. That's 184, 198, 4,900 spin. Maybe the spin's a tiny bit lower on this than I was, but we'll have a look at the stats at the end. Let's not jump the gun. Wee bit clean. Didn't feel that bad hitting it clean. 183, 197, 5,100 spin. Oh, that was a nice strike. Get out of the middle, it does feel nice. It's not ultra soft like a forged. I wouldn't say for a minute it feels like one of the clubs with a forged face. Neither of them do. QI10 got maybe a tiny bit closer, but they still feel decent. They don't feel really loud and sharp and harsh. They're not bad at all. So, moment of truth, let's have a look at the figures. Right, so 10 shots each. Ball speed 123 with the QI10, 122 with the Callaway, so I don't think there's anything in that. Launch 15.5 on average with the QI10 and 17.5 with the Callaway. Did seem to be coming out a wee bit lower with the QI10. Not quite sure why that was. The backspin very similar, 4.8, 4.8, but I think there was a couple in there that brought it down a bit. I think on average it was getting out up over 5,000. Carry 182, 182, so absolutely identical. Total yardage 197, 196. Now I know a lot of you think that's absolute nonsense. Tends to be how it works out on the courses I play at Gullen and East Links in North Berwick. But again, nothing in it. Descent angle 42, so a bit lower flight on that first one, and then 44 in the Callaway. So incredibly similar. It just shows you that the loft is the overriding factor in terms of the performance of each and every club. So be careful when you're analysing club yourself against each other. You know, you really should be working out what the loft is first before you go and say one goes further than the other. So yeah, pretty similar. Right, so it's a difficult conclusion really in some ways. If I'm trying to pick a winner, it's difficult because, right, plus points, let's work this through. So plus points for the QI10 would be possibly a softer, better sound and feel off the head. Is that it? Is that the plus? Because the distance was the same. It possibly felt a tiny bit more forgiving. Don't know whether that was actually just the batch or what it was, but it was a little bit straighter feeling. There was one or two shots where I thought I'd hit them right and they didn't go right. They stayed straight. So possibly there's a chance this is a little bit more forgiving, but I mean, I'm not sure that me as a human being trying to decipher that, I wouldn't bet your house on that. That's just my feeling, just my gut feeling. If I'm pushed into a corner, I'd possibly say the feel and potentially a little bit more forgiving. They don't go any further, they're the same distance as the Callaway. I think the Callaway, the plus points are the looks and the price and the fact that it goes the same sort of distance as the QI10. If we're going to say that it's not as forgiving, then it's not as forgiving, but again, I'm not 100% sure about that. If it was me and I had to choose one at the moment, I'd probably go AI Smoke, but then that's the looks. That's based on the looks. I just like the slightly thinner top line, I like the slightly more compact head, and I suppose if you're using your own money or whatever, then they're a little bit cheaper. I think that's pretty good price. I know £809 sounds still a lot of money for a set of irons, but in this day and age, that's actually not too bad at all for a top level premium brand name like Callaway. $859 is not bad either for the QI10, so you really wouldn't go far wrong, and the price isn't enough of a difference probably to sway you one way or the other just on that. If I was you, I'd go and test them both, see what you think, see if you like the looks of the QI10 over the Callaway, then it's probably a done deal. You would just go for the QI10. But I hope in some way that was helpful. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments and I'll get back to you. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.